When I was 26, I got a new job in a small town in upstate New York. It was one of those towns where the streets go quiet by 9 p.m. and there's only one grocery store, one diner, and everyone seems to know everyone else. The company that hired me offered me a rental house as part of the job, which I thought was a great deal. The house was on a road called Grayfield, about a mile outside of town. When I first saw it, it looked almost perfect. A 2-story farmhouse, white paint peeling just a little, a big front porch, and a yard full of tall grass that hadn't been cut in a while. The landlord told me it had been empty for years, but had good bones. When I moved in, everything felt fine at first. The house had that old smell, not bad, just dusty. And the floors creaked when you walked, but I liked it. The first night, I unpacked my boxes, made some dinner, and sat on the porch listening to the crickets. There were no cars passing, no neighbors walking dogs, just me and that long, empty road. That first night was uneventful, but by the second night, I noticed something weird. Around 3 a.m., I woke up because I heard knocking. Soft, rhythmic, from somewhere downstairs. I froze, just listening. It wasn't the kind of knock you'd hear at a front door. It sounded hollow, like someone tapping on wood from inside the house. I told myself it was the pipes, or maybe the old radiator, so I stayed in bed. But the next morning, when I went downstairs, I found the basement door open. I knew I had closed it because it stuck a little and made a loud squeak when you shut it. I went down to the basement, even though it was the last place I wanted to be. The basement was huge, with a low ceiling and a dirt floor. There was almost nothing down there, except for a single wooden chair sitting in the middle of the room. It looked like someone had just put it there. That night, I started hearing footsteps in the hallway upstairs. Slow, steady, like someone was walking barefoot. I checked every room, but there was no one there. I started locking my bedroom door, even though it felt silly. One night, about a week in, I was woken by the sound of someone whispering. At first, I thought it was coming from outside my window, but then I realized it was coming from inside the room. The whispering was low, like a voice pressed right against my ear. But when I sat up, the room was empty. Things escalated after that. I'd come home from work and find small things moved. A mug that had been left on the counter was now on the table. My coat was on the floor, and once, the chair from the basement was sitting in the middle of the living room. The scariest thing happened about 2 weeks after I moved in. I woke up at 3 a.m. to the sound of my bedroom door handle turning. The door was locked, but the handle kept rattling harder and harder until it stopped suddenly. Then I heard something drag across the floor in the hallway. Long, slow, scraping sounds, like someone was pulling a heavy bag. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, I asked some people at work about the house. One of the older guys got quiet and said, "You're in the Miller house." He wouldn't say much more, but another co-worker told me that years ago, a man named Charles Miller had lived there with his wife and 2 kids. Then, one night, without warning, He killed his whole family and disappeared. They never found his body. That night, I heard the whispering again, but this time I could make out the words. It sounded like a man's voice saying, "Get out," over and over, louder each time, until it felt like it was being shouted in my ear. I grabbed my keys, ran out to my car, and drove to a hotel. When I came back the next morning, I found muddy footprints leading from the back door to the kitchen, then to the basement door, and stopping at the chair. I called the landlord and told him I was breaking the lease. He didn't argue. He just said, "Yeah, that house doesn't like people staying long." I moved out that same day. 3 months later, I got a call from one of my co-workers. They said the house had burned down in the middle of the night. No one knows what started the fire. When the fire department sifted through the remains, they found a set of human bones in the basement, sitting in the chair. I still think about that house sometimes. I wonder if Charles Miller ever left at all.